So this is a GPU, a 6900 XT to be exact, and stock availability has been getting a little bit better now that you may actually find a GPU in stock, and I've even seen them when I go to my local micro center and even online. Prices are still high, but which GPU should you be going for? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, so today's video is sponsored by CDkdeals, genuine CD keys, not only for software like Windows 10, and we also have a coupon code where you're going to be able to get this for under $20. What you first want to do is go and sign up for an account just to make sure all of your information is in there. You can go and search for, it's going to be the Windows 10 Pro. It's OEM, very easy process. You add it to your cart and you're going to see that you're going to have the option to put a coupon code. You're going to put in CC20. That's my coupon code, and you're going to get 20% off. And then you just go through the regular checkout process. Basically, you just have to go in Windows. I'm going to show you how to do this now. You enter the CD key in there, and you'll see it's going to work without any issue. And for the price that you're paying, I really think it's a fantastic deal to get a real, genuine, smooth working copies of Windows 10. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology. Some say every time you subscribe and smash that like button, you get a little bit closer to actually finding one of these for a reasonable price. Alright, so let's summarize what's been happening recently. Definitely, GPU prices have come down. Of course, not to normal, but they've come down a little bit. It's going down little by little, and that doesn't mean that they're anywhere near MSRP. For example, this here was $999 MSRP from AMD. That's the reference model, 6900 XT. Recently, we've seen these as high as $2,800, a third-party AIB model, and even this one probably sells on the secondhand market for like $1,600 to $1,700, but they're definitely going down a little bit. There have been more in stock, but people still aren't buying because prices are still very high. But there may be a time, and it may be within the next few months, where the dust really settles. Maybe crypto mining isn't as popular. Maybe a lot of people start selling their GPUs. It's going to depend a lot on that, as we've seen with sort of the Ethereum price curve and the prices of GPUs. In a lot of cases, they're definitely correlated. So if something like that happens, you can expect there to be a lot more options of GPUs. In fact, I would expect you to start seeing the more expensive ones more readily available in stock, like a 3090, possibly 3080 Ti. So if you start seeing these GPUs in stock, what do? I'm sure many of us have been ignoring the GPU market. Who cares if a 3080 Ti is a little faster than a 3080? Nobody's been able to buy them really, so people have really not been paying attention to that. But what do you do when the dust settles and you actually can buy one of these for a reasonable price? That's why in that case, you really do have to at least be aware of what's going on performance-wise. It may not matter now that they're impossible to get, but as soon as they start popping up, you're going to want to have this information. So first, let's talk about the very high end. Let's say if prices are close to MSRP, I still think that 3090 is an absolutely amazing value compared to what it was before and what GPUs have come to. Now, this is a little funny saying because I realized on release the 3090 did not seem like a good value at all. People balked at the $1499, price for the Founders Edition. That seemed like a very bad deal in terms of comparing it to the 3080. But after seeing these guys, the 6900 XT for more than a 3090, $1,500 doesn't seem like a very bad price for a 3090, does it? I bet anyone would buy it at that price now, considering they've been from $2,000 to $3,000 for a long time. This may be one of the first GPUs that you just happen to see more widely available. Why do I think the 3090 is a great GPU? If your budget can allow you to fit that in your system, and if it's closer to MSRP, well, first, it's going to have a better resale value, most likely because it's not going to be hash rate limited at all, like the 3080 Ti and the 3070 Ti. Of course, for gaming, the 3080 Ti is actually very, very close to the 3090, but so is the price. If I had to choose between both of them, I would choose the 3090 because you are going to get more VRAM, about twice the amount of VRAM. Not necessarily important in every game or even in most games, but if you do some content creation, that's going to help sort of that GPU's performance. The resale value is going to be better. And like we mentioned, it doesn't have any weird limitations. The 3090 Nvidia actually left alone, so you'll be able to sell it later on for many reasons, for gamers, content creators, and miners. Therefore, I think the price will stay higher. Something like a 3080 Ti, it's going to be basically just for gamers and content creation. You're going to sort of take out a big section of the market as we've had it recently. So that's something to keep in mind. As we start going down the stack a little bit, of course, you can compare it to the 6900 XT. At over $2,000, I don't believe any 6900 XT is going to be worth it at this point. I would still go for a 3080 or 3090. But if these start getting closer to the $999 limit, I mean, I really love this card. Even the reference design, I mean, I think it looks pretty awesome. The cooler is actually pretty good because it's pretty thick compared to previous reference designs in the past, like a Vega 64, the blower style, used to be so loud and noisy. These are actually pretty reasonable. And for gaming, the 6900 XT, actually pretty amazing in most cases, and AMD has all of this new FSR technology, a lot of stuff coming to these GPUs. So for gaming, it's definitely highly competitive against Nvidia, but it definitely has to be a lot cheaper than the 3090 to be worth it, because for content creation, these are not going to be as good as a 3090 or 3080. And of course, for mining, if that's even if you're not mining, that's part of the equation for their resale value. These really perform like a 3070, so it's very different in terms of the mining capabilities. Even if you're not going to mine yourself, down the road, people that buy these may have that in mind, and that's definitely going to affect the price, as we've seen recently. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And of course, the 6800 XT is generally an even better value, just because you get most of the performance of the 6900 XT for a little bit cheaper, and you're not really going to be missing out on much. And of course, as we start to sort of go down the price ladder, the 3080, I think, is going to be one of those GPUs that will always be difficult to find, just because it definitely presents the best value for sort of the performance that you get if you consider the initial $699 MSRP and branch it out from there as to what you can expect to pay for it on the secondhand market. It's definitely probably the best GPU of this generation with the price in mind. Of course, the 3090 is better, but that was always more expensive anyway. So the 3080, I don't think we're going to get to that much, even with, stock being more readily available, considering that it's not sort of limited, at least the previous cards, with hash rates or anything like that. And then probably the closest GPUs that are going to be more widely available, much more than the 3080, then we're talking about the 3070 Ti and perhaps the original 3070. In some cases, the 3070 may even retain a little bit more of its value, just because it's likely not to be limited like the 3070 Ti will be in terms of its hash rate. So that could be an important thing for resale value, not only for gamers, but for everybody sort of in the market. So 3070, in my opinion, is an amazing GPU for the price. If you can get it for a reasonable price, going down closer to MSRP, it's fairly power efficient, puts out performance better than a 2080 Ti in a lot of cases. Definitely one of my more favorite GPUs, and I would certainly pick a 3070, I think, over a 6800, but depending on the price that you can find them at, the 6800 certainly is no slouch for gaming either. Of course, it's going to have the typical AMD sort of differences than Nvidia, but that's something to keep in mind. 3070, definitely something I would sort of lean towards a little bit more, but 6800, especially if they're more on the market, which I think they probably will be more available than a 3070, definitely something to keep in mind. And then we get to the 3060 and 3060 Ti. By far, I think the 3060 Ti is the better GPU. It's just going to perform and game better 99% of the time. Who cares if the 3060 has 12 gigabytes of VRAM? Not only is it kind of technically hash rate limited, so it may sort of affect that market a little bit, even though there are workarounds for that, as we've seen online, the gaming performance of a 3060 is just not on the same level as a 3060 Ti in general. 3060 Ti will be closer to a 3070, and the 3060 is just basically a different class of GPU. So that's basically where I would see this. And of course, in this category, you're also going to have the 6700 XT, depending on the price you get it at, also a pretty great GPU for gaming, but recently they've still been from like $800 to $1,000. For that price, a 6700 XT, I think I would prefer, of course, a 3070 first or a 3060 Ti, because of the aforementioned benefits that you get going with Nvidia instead of AMD, especially at these type of price points. So to sum it up, as GPUs become more widely available, we have to give ourselves a refresher as to, which models are actually good how do they compare against each other. AMD produced some fantastic gaming GPUs, but in general, unless they're cheaper than the Nvidia counterparts, I do prefer going with the Nvidia GPUs just because they still have some advantages of ray tracing. If you're doing content creation, a lot of times they're better for that. And of course, if you're keeping the mining environment in mind in terms of resale value, or even if you're mining on your own GPUs, those do tend to have a little better performance unless they're hash rate limited. But in general, AMD definitely put up a valiant effort. I just think that they have to be priced a little bit lower to really make sense against a lot of their Nvidia counterparts. But anyway, seeing the more expensive overpriced GPUs sitting on shelves now, that's really the first indication that things certainly are changing. And I think pretty soon, if this trend continues, if crypto mining kind of stays quiet and it doesn't have a big boom like it did before, I think we can start to see GPUs you actually want come down to prices that you actually want to pay. All right, guys, so remember to subscribe, smash that like button. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.